All right, welcome to another week of the safety brief. So welcome back and welcome to the new individuals here at Goodfellow. So I'm Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I'm the Operations Superintendent here in the 316th.
And I'm Technical Sergeant Worthington. I'm the acting first sergeant. I'm also sitting in as your MTL flight chief, and you'll see me around 3139 a lot next week. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. I see we have quite a few people online already, to include Sergeant Harrison, who wanted to say it's time. So thank you for that quick reminder. But once again, welcome to everybody here. So a couple of quick little items we want to get into, and then we'll start kind of answering some of the questions for you guys this week and see what we can get off the plate before we hand it over to the commander. So this week, thank you to those. Right, we've had visitors again coming in. We had a ton of 1 Alpha 8 leadership come into our spaces to get a rundown of the new X1 course, and also to help align the X2s for the future of their courses. So had a great interaction with all of their leadership. They kind of got around, went to some of the different classrooms and did some things. So thank you to everybody that was involved in that. And thank you for you guys specifically continuing to set the example of professionalism and working with our visitors, right? Even to this afternoon, right? So we just went into 3139 this afternoon with Mr. Ken Bray. So he is the highest civilian within our half ISR community. So he is the deputy. He's the deputy to the A26 up at half. So he works directly for General O'Brien, and he came down to kind of learn how we have innovated our training techniques and what we're doing to get after our training following COVID, and how we're working through it and how we're going to normalize that. So had a great visit, good conversations, and even received some recognition here for some individuals that absolutely deserved it. So thank you for once again kind of putting on that show. I also saw that as we were leaving, the group commander was in the spaces over in 3139. So, right, you guys continue to put on an amazing show. So thank you. We do have a couple of items to talk about, though. One of the things, right, we're still masked up. We're still doing what we need to do. Continue to wear your mask appropriately, right? We're still having to stop people on the troop walk. We're still having to stop them around base. Out in town, we see people. So please, right, set that example, right? Be the right person, wearing your mask appropriately. For those who want the vaccine, there are still opportunities to get the vaccine. For those of you who have already gotten the vaccine, please make sure your records are updated. It's one of those things that is in our IMR, so our individual medical readiness requirements. So we do have to make sure that we're up on those. So, right, making sure your vaccines are taken care of, your dental, all of that fun stuff. And so if not, that's one of the first ways that people are going to call out, right? Your IMR status is how we're able to quickly annotate who is and who is not vaccinated. So please, right, get out there, do those. If you want to get the shot, get the shot. It is not mandatory. I know last week we talked quite a bit about that. It is not mandatory at this point. It is in discussion.
It's getting close.
So it is in discussion with the Secretary of Defense, right? It has been out in open press that this is in discussion. There are some tentative dates that have been passed around. So there's a lot of rumor flying right now, but there is nothing in regulatory guidance saying that it is mandatory yet. That does not mean, right, once again, if you want to get the vaccine right now, I would get the vaccine. There are opportunities to do that. We will have another opportunity here in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, where the med group will probably come back in just like we did. So be prepared for that one. What you got, sir?
Okay, before I let the senior get to the thing he's really here for today, A couple things. Hey, there's a lot of people coming through the buildings. Let's keep our rooms in inspection order, right? I know people want to get out of their hot, sweaty clothes. You guys need to be putting those in your bags. You need to be putting those in your hampers, not leaving them out on your floor when you run out to go get in a quick jaunt on the track or whatever you're doing. These facilities, we're working really hard to get things fixed. And every time we bring people through, we want to showcase how we're taking care of them so that the things we ask for, we know we'll get because they see that we're taking care of them. So you guys help us out with that. You help out your future ISR professionals that will come here after you and see some of these nice things that we're working towards will be because of you here, taking care of what we have now. Second thing, the Marines, they have a dumpster across from their dormitories. The airmen living in 3139 need to be throwing their trash away over at that roundabout. So when you leave the building, take a left and throw your trash out over there. There's a lot more dumpsters over there than there is in front of the Marine facilities. There's been people that have been filling those trash cans up, leaving bags out on the sidewalk, and then somebody has to come pick all that up and throw away your trash a second time. So to combat that, we will not be using those facilities. I will see no yellow belt airmen going over there and using those receptacles, okay? Let's help them out because there are 2 large dormitories being filled up and they only have a couple cans, all right? Those are my big things. What else do you think?
Awesome. So those are a couple of the items. So before I get, as he mentioned, there's one more thing I'm definitely going to talk about before I turn it over for questions. But there was another one that I wanted to chat with. And so what you're going to see over the next couple of weeks is we're about to go into PT appraisals. That's going to be different than what those of you who have been here a while are used to.
Who likes burpees?
Burpees. Everybody loves burpees, right?
If you can do 85 of them.
So what's going on, right? So Big Air Force is looking at revamping our PT program. So we just went through some changes for this PT test opportunities that are going on right now that have broken us out into 5-year increments with your age groups, change some of our time, right? The grading criteria.
Got rid of that waist measurement.
Remove the waist measurement
correct.
Remove the waist measurement from the scoring. And so what that's doing now is we're also looking at alternative exercises for scoring. But the Air Force is looking for more data on how to do that. So Goodfellow was identified as a testing platform for some of these alternative components. So, for instance, there is going to be alternative components for your core exercises. So instead of doing your sit-ups, your crunches, there is a plank option, and the other one is a what do they call it?
Reverse crunch.
Is that the reverse crunch where you're alternating reverse cross crunch thing? So similar to a smaller bicycle, but you're alternating between reaching from your elbow to alternating knees, right? So those are some of the alternatives they're looking at for that type of exercise instead of your sit-up. Your push-ups, there is, instead of a 1-minute push-up, that is, right, how many you can get, they're looking at a 2-minute hand release push-up. So after you go all the way down to the floor, you release your hands, you push them all the way out to the side, and you bring them back and you go up again. So they're looking at different alternatives based on time and exercise. One of the other ones they are considering that they're not fully fleshed out yet is burpees. So the amount of burpees will equate to a score, right?
Full test, no other components.
That one could be where it's a full test with no other components, and it would be a 3 minutes of number of burpees you can do. So what we're going to do is this appraisal timeline, as you go out and you do your appraisals this month, Dependent on your AFS and what flight you are taking your appraisal with, will determine which alternative components you will be performing. Everyone will participate in the alternative components except for FIP members. Members on FIP will take their standard appraisals. So if you're already on FIP, we need to see where you're at. We need to see what's going on based on the current standing of points. Everyone else is going to participate in this alternative so we can gather the data that the Air Force needs to help kind of identify, is this the right answer? What makes sense for scoring? Where do people fall, right? Is something achievable or not?
But sir, what if I fail?
If you fail, so there's no actual score right now, right? This is really just to gather data of, does this make sense? Does it not? So for those that are right in good PT standing status currently, this appraisal is not going to affect whether you pass or fail. This one will, however, affect potentially, right, the Air Force's big idea of what's going to go on with our PT program.
So the key to victory is effort, right? We have to show where we want as much effort as possible. If you look like you're just phoning it in, don't care because it doesn't affect you if you pass or fail, that's a real fail in my book. But if you're out there pushing real hard, whatever score you end up with at the end of that, that's a pass. That's a pass this month, okay? That's our criteria.
Correct. So, right, let's put forth the effort. Let's see what we can do, right? And this is really a really great opportunity for you guys, right? In training, doing this, and you're going to affect the Air Force as to where we're going, what's going on.
Air Force level test. One of 3 bases that are going to be doing this, so this is a big deal.
What if we have not taken our first appraisal here at Goodfellow yet?
The regular appraisal.
Okay, so if it's your first one, right, we don't have a baseline. So in that case, per our UFPM, you're going to take the initial, so the standard appraisal. So you will be doing it with the FIP individuals, essentially, right? So make sure that that's already taken care of. Okay. Does that go for phase 3 applications too? I'm going to turn that over to the MTL for a second.
I'm going to say if you push it all out there, I'll count it as a pass. I'll give you that one.
Woo! All right.
I'm living dangerous right now. I'm on my way up there.
So if you're working real hard, right, and you can get up there and show that, then guess what? Your phase 3 application can still go through with this one. So that's pretty awesome. Do the rules still stand? Vaccinated person who can remove their mask when outdoors and socially distance? Yes, it does. That is absolutely still there. What is the run substitute?
Shuttles.
So
yeah.
So I talked about some of the other alternatives. So there is an alternative to the 1.5-mile run. It's known as a hammer shuttle run. So it's 20-meter sprints. It's 20-meter sprints on time. So it is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so it is shorter, but it is still a heck of a workout. Already gotten a 9 on previous appraisal. How will the alternative affect that status?
It won't.
Not going to affect that status. You're doing awesome.
Yeah.
If you're already at that 90, good job. Man, I didn't realize this was going to be the topic.
People
want it.
They're excited.
Oh, they're excited. They're
okay,
not
we'll say
worried.
people are excited.
People are excited about the alternatives.
They're finding their fire.
They're finding. This is getting you on. This is getting you fired up.
Yeah.
I like it. This is getting you fired up. So while you're fired up, that next thing that I said I had to get to before I hand it over for questions and we figure out what's going on. Okay, so speaking of getting fired up, we want you to find your fire. Sounds weird, right? Especially coming from me, I'm sure. But, so what does that mean? So Find Your Fire is a resilience program that ASU is putting on. This is going to be done through 2 events. One on Monday, the 23rd of August, and one on Tuesday, the 24th. This is a girls' night out on Monday and a guys' night out on Tuesday. So, females, on Monday, between 6 and 8 p.m., 316th Airmen female type, will be going out to ASU. You'll be there between 6 and 8 out at the Junell Center. So if you have a vehicle, we're authorizing you guys to drive to this. However, if you prefer, there will also be a bus alternative to be provided transportation on Monday out there. On Tuesday, y'all see where this is going, right? On Tuesday, the male airmen within the 316th, you will be going out to ASU between 7 and 9 p.m. You will be out at ASU. It's a really cool opportunity. I know this is a tough one, right? It is a mandatory event, but they are really looking to, right, build resilience within our airmen, physical, mental, and emotional health for men and women. It's set in a fun, interactive environment. There's going to be dinner provided. There is prizes, t-shirts, and so much more, according to the flyer. So I'm going to make sure that this is in 3139, that this is out at ASU. For those of you that are already living at ASU, you are going to be out at the Junell Center on those times.
You can come back to base and take the bus there if you want, but
this applies to phase 1 as well. Yes, it does.
yes,
We are here to support.
you
So
will
this
be
isn't-
allowed to wear civilian clothes.
There we go, right? I said this is mandatory. Yes, I did. So Find Your Fire is going to be a mandatory event for the 316th personnel. What about those who are in class until that time?
In class of 6.
So what class are you in that is running till 6 or 7 o'clock at night? So I'd be happy to have that conversation so that I can have the talk. But all the instructors are being made aware of this also. This is coming out. And so this is a push between so this is a coordinated effort between the base and the community. So we have, us being the 316th, have the most interaction with ASU. We have dorm space out there. We have airmen living out there and residing there. So we were the natural kind of look as to how can we really kind of get people involved. When they talked about the resilience event, and obviously resilience is a huge conversation across the service, across the wing, across the space, across our unit. This is something that we can do to help support this effort. And it's a different aspect to how this is going to kind of talk, right? This isn't the standard military talk on resilience, right? So it's a really awesome opportunity to get out, kind of see a different perspective and do that. Once again, McKinley, yes, this is mandatory for 316 personnel. Are we wearing phase appropriate attire? So you will get to go out in civilian clothes and enjoy the interaction with some of our ASU partners. So this is Monday, August 23rd for Girls Night Out between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Junell Center. And for Guys Night Out, it will be Tuesday, August 24th, 7 to 9 p.m. So those are the times. And what about those in SimOps? I don't think you are in SimOps between those times. So
They're just saying for the rest period.
Is SimOps happening? You guys are hitting the floor at 6 in the morning in SimOps? No? No, okay.
well, someone says, "Oh, I'll be gone." Disregard.
That's fine.
I'm sure. My guess is yes, we will probably have somebody in SimOps at that time.
6 in the morning.
But this is something that we should be doing, right? And it's, I mean, if you're going to tell me that, right, all of you are in bed by 9 o'clock, I will gladly come by the dorms in ASU and validate that to make sure that everybody's out. I'll be happy to. I'm still awake, so I will be happy to do that. So those on CQ during that time will be on CQ, right? Some of us, when we have to work a shift, when we have something going on, we don't get to go and do the other things. So that is the ones that we're going with. What if we're graduated by then? Is it still mandatory?
If you're still here,
If
yes.
you're sitting in the 316th and you're still attached to us and you're graduated, but you haven't left for your next duty station, then you're going to this.
This is
And it'll be a
airmen.
lot of fun.
This is all
Is this
airmen
going to happen with
regardless-
ASU students as well? Yes, ASU students will be there. It'll be awesome.
All airmen, regardless of status here, will go.
Yes, civilian college students and military members together. Yes. Yes, and we can be professional and we can have fun and we can do this. So, you guys are professional around everybody around the base, right? This is another piece, right? That as we interact with our community, right? This is something that absolutely the wing can highlight, and to leverage the 316th and that be the go-to unit by the wing commander. This is an awesome opportunity to really set us apart and continue to show how the Sharks shine in these type of events.
Garrett did nail one. That is a good point. We could just have males cover CQ on that one night and females cover on the next. That's a good idea.
I like that idea, but I will leave that to the MTLs and to everybody like that. So if we can make that work, great. If not, right, within the military, we're gonna find times that we can make events and times we can't based off of our shift. So if you're on shift, sometimes that's the way it goes.
It is.
But look forward to it. Look for the flyer. It'll be up in 3139. It will be up in ASU to make sure. In fact, say, watch this. I'm gonna make sure our MTLs have it. So it will be up and we'll be good. Okay, so I know we kind of probably went over our time a little bit, but that was a lot of really good information. Do you have any questions before we start handing this over to the commander? Give it a second.
I don't know. I'll end on this too. Look, there will be people that don't want to go to this. There will be people that think that that it's all about the training here. Go into this with an open mind. Have a good time. This is probably the first time the entire squadron will be somewhere together, all in the same time. You'll get a lot of people. All of our female airmen will get out together. All of our male airmen will get out together, and you guys will get to interact with some people. Find something from this. Find your fire. If you can't find your fire, find something. But I guarantee there will be something that night that will be memorable. Okay?
And like I said, right? Prizes, food,
Yeah.
lots of
This is
good
a
things.
Free meal.
So if someone's trying to get a 90 or above on their next PT assessment, will there be an opportunity to have your appraisal scored? So with the other appraisal events that are going on this month, these we're not looking to necessarily count that way. However, if you're dead set that that's your goal is getting that 90, right? We're looking for that data point for Big Air Force on how these different events are going to work, and is it viable? Is it something that is something that we can do and really do well in, or right is it not really achievable based on where we're currently looking, what they have set as their standards? So if you're looking for that 90, if that's your goal, I would say get with the MTLs, get with an instructor, and we can probably set up a PTL session to get you that assessment for a standard PT test. If that's it.
Sessions where we're testing them.
Correct. Right. So we can do that. I may not have a sitter for my daughter on that day. Can she come with?
Good question.
Good question. So let me reach out to ASU and see what their response is, because they're the ones sponsoring this. And if not, we'll have to work those onesie twosie things, right? So if you have concerns like that, please bring them up to the MTL. Let's have the conversation and see. But definitely a good question. Definitely a good question. We'll work through.
Got it.
Awesome. All right. Stand by. And by that, I guess I'm just looking through.
Senior, back again.
Yeah. All right. You guys don't get rid of me this easy.
Happy Thursday. My name is EJ Mason. I'm the squadron commander for the best training squadron in the Air Force, Go Sharks. I am about to hit day 60 in command, and I am loving this job. And this is my senior enlisted leader for the day, and my right-hand man.
All right. So once again, right, for those who missed my introduction in the very beginning, right, I am Senior Master Sergeant Vesper. I am typically just the operations superintendent. I say typically just, that usually is not all I get to do around here. But for the today and tomorrow, I am filling in for Chief Gill. So I'm here to help you guys with your orders and all the other fun things that Chief always gets.
The taller version of Chief Gill. Hey, Sergeant Worthington, for Taylor Nielsen, this event is supposed to be helpful and productive. So
If it's going to be too much of a
if
hindrance,
it's going to be a strain for you to get a sitter for your daughter, I don't think it's the wing commander's intent that you go through a lot of things to meet this. This is as a mandatory event, okay? So if you can't get child care for your child, I don't think it's the intent that you have to get in here. We'll get you the notes and we'll get you the information. If there's any other sessions in the future, we'll let you know, especially since you don't have a lot of notice on this, okay? So do what you can. If you can make it, that's outstanding. If you can't make it, then you'll catch the next one. Does that make sense? Sweet. So I got only 4 things to talk about today.
only 4.
Only 4. Yeah, so we already talked about the new PFT, all right? So with the new PFT, the bigger picture on the new PFT is this is a new Air Force standard. This is coming. It's not set in stone yet. It's probably looking toward January of 22 that this is going to be set in stone. The 316th is volunteered to take on these new sessions to get that data. So this is going to be available only to 5 bases across the Air Force. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to jump feet first into this, get the data that the Air Force is going to use, and do the tweaking on this before it goes out into the field. So you are going to be the test bed for the new service test. I was talking to our office today. I was in the Air Force. I came into the Air Force in 2005, 2006, right as the brand new PT test, which is the test that you take every day now, was coming in, and it was a whole lot of moving pieces and work to do with that, a whole lot of learning. So we're just going through the exact same thing again with this new test 15 years later. So looking forward to the results on this. Try hard, give it your best effort, and let's get some good data back to the Air Force. You cover everything else I want to talk about in PT. Let's talk about hospitalization and masks, right? So I have got, since the last time we've talked, I've gotten 4 emails or phone calls from either the vice wing commander or the wing commander about students in masks. We had to talk about the troop off last week, but this week this week's phone calls was about students in front of the BX and commissary. Come on, y'all. Out of all the places that you can't break the mask policy, you can't do it in broad daylight, right in front of the most busy buildings on the base with the as the BX and the commissary. So we know what the mask policy is. It's 100% on base unless you're in your personal area. So if you're walking to the BX, if you're walking to the commissary, unless you've got a drink in your hand and you're drinking it actively, unless you're in that food court and you're eating actively, you got to wear your mask. And I wouldn't expect that the wing commander or the vice wing commander is going to call me and tell me that to do this too many times before we go to different measures. Okay, so let's especially sharks, yeah. Let's self-police. Let's do the right thing and go from there. Related to the mask, the hospitalization due to COVID. Just want to make sure that you're aware of what's going on and the situation around you in San Angelo, Texas. In the last 14 days, the hospitalization rate due to COVID has gone up 210%. There's a 17% increase in positive tests. Right now, we are this county is recording about 91 new cases a day, or 1 in 6 people infected. So 91 new cases a day. As I was evaluating leave and past policy for off-base stuff about 2 weeks ago, we were right at about 20 cases per day. So 91 cases a day is significant, right? And it's not trending down, it's trending up. And I think we talked in the office about if we talk about the last 14 days.
What happened 14 days ago?
What happened 14 days ago?
2 weeks ago, when we had this meeting, for those of you who were around, we talked about the Wild West Fest and the event going on out in town. And we said, hey, right, if you're going, make sure you're masking up, make sure you're doing these things. There's videographic evidence, right? And we said, hey, there's going to be people out there that are kind of looking for these things. What we saw and what was reported back was the fact that the vast majority of the populace out there were not wearing masks. So we had a few thousand individuals across San Angelo go into the concert And this is kind of the timeline to which we're kind of paying for that. So having a 200% increase has a lot to do with it. And we said, hey, we're going to see the effects of this about 2 weeks later. And that's what's going on now.
Yep. So we're at, right? So vaccinate if you can. If you're not going to vaccinate, still everyone use your mask. Don't forget the hand washing policy and the use of hand sanitizer. Do all the things to protect yourself because there's a higher risk right now. Okay. The third thing I want to talk to you about is a safety issue and a security issue. So we've had a couple people bring their government issued laptops into the SCIF over the last 2 weeks. I want to say 2, but there might be up to 4. I know that our squadron issues laptops for people to do parts of training or unclassified work at home in your room. When you are done with that laptop, or if you're having a problem with that laptop and you need to bring it in, don't bring it into the SCIF. That laptop's going to stay out in your vehicle or stay in your room, and then we'll coordinate the pickup of that laptop. And that happens actually on a totally different building. So I can't see any scenario where any student, just like a cell phone, would bring a laptop into any of our SCIFs. So this is the verbal warning on that, and we're trying to figure out, what the root cause of this is. If you're just not sure about it, even though you think, okay, it's a government issued laptop, it still can be turned into an analog collection device, okay? So don't bring that laptop into the SCIF, and then if we have to go to next measures, we will on that. Easy stuff.
And it also, so those laptops, so they have not been vetted the same way that some of our other machines are before they're brought into our SCIF. So the actual procurement of those machines, things like that, they go through different vetting processes depending on how we're purchasing them for where. And so therefore they do not and will not meet the security standards for coming into the SCIF. As you move on through your career, right, you may come across machines that do meet those requirements, and those are well documented, well annotated, right? You will absolutely know. And right now, no, there is not a single laptop that should be coming into that SCIF space.
Sweet. So here we are. My last point. We are mid-August. Mid-August, most places across the country means kids are going back to school. Mm-hmm. So kids are going back to school in Texas. My kids will be in school next week. And you all are students, so you understand that now we're about to have students on base, students off base. Pay attention. Okay, look, don't do distracted driving. Watch the crosswalks. Watch your travel around San Angelo and everywhere else, because there's going to be thousands of children going back to school and in the spaces that we travel and navigate through. So that's my. I think the wing also sent out a notice to that, just to put a mental reminder in your head. If you're driving a vehicle or if you're riding with people on the distracted driving and distracted movements, that there are small humans that we all care about moving around our spaces right now, and be careful as they go back to school.
So with that, right, we understand that the vast majority of you are not driving during your duty day, right? So this isn't going to be a huge thing for you. We face it every day, right? As our students are marching to and from,
yeah,
right? So we see the crosswalks. We are more used to it on base. As soon as you head out the north gate, which, by the way, for a couple of days coming up is going to be the only gate, right? Immediately out of there to the left, you run directly into school zone. So those are things that we have to be aware of, and this is going to once again be that change, because I mean it's been a while since people were back in school, right? Yeah. This is, I get summer, but people were just getting back into the feel of that when they were coming back online from their COVID timeout. So as that occurs, we'll have to kind of obviously keep an eye on it, but be safe no matter what you're doing. Yeah. So for you guys that are crossing in crosswalks, keep an eye out. Watch out for yourself. Watch out for others.
Yeah. Then we got an MTL question.
Okay, when we're going towards the BX next to the Norman Brown building, how should we go about marching? Are we allowed to go straight across the parking lot, or should we not cross it at all? No, you don't cross the parking lot while you're marching. That is not a route of march. Routes of march are sidewalks, troop walk, park and crosswalks. Parking lots are not routes of march. So no, don't cut across the parking lot. there's a crosswalk that exists in the middle of the parking lot, right? That heads up to the doors of the old BX.
That is fine. That spot is okay.
That spot is okay because it's designated as a walking path through the parking lot.
Doodle Dearest, who told you, who's stopping the 316th Airman?
Coming from the troop block next to the former
315th
BX field house,
MTLs.
and it's confusing since it's not a path.
We can talk to the 315th MTLs.
So the 315th MTLs are saying they can't cut through the walking path in the parking lot. They're making them go all the way by the edge, right, and then come in on that little sidewalk.
I'll double check the path and I'll make sure that.
So our MTLs will look at the path, right, and verify that it is a valid route of march,
And then I'll address it with
and we will address it with everybody. And then we will also address the 315th to ensure that, because they're looking out for your safety also, right? And yes, it is a standard route of march for the group. So we will help clarify that, and we'll get with them for both. Right, so it's okay. Thank you for bringing it up, and we'll address it with the 315th to ensure that we are all on the right page within the group route of march.
And if that doesn't work, then we'll have champions from each quadrant come together and fight it out. One each. I got the 316th. I don't know who's taking 315th. I'll take them.
What is the concern of driving to base for airmen that may or may not have driven to Presidio every day at DLI?
That's a good question, Michael.
That's a very good question. So this is the driving question from ASU. Why can't they drive, essentially, even though they drove in Presidio? So, okay, so we'll address part of this. So every time you move bases, which you have shifted where you're at, the rules change, in all honesty, and that's a large part of what it is. So what you were doing at Monterey works for what you're doing in Monterey at Presidio Monterey based on the training group out there and based on the commandant, the Army, of the way they're allowing things to work out there. Now you're on Goodfellow. Goodfellow is managed by an Air Force colonel as the wing commander and installation commander, and then we have a different training group. So those rules change site to site based on different reasons and variables at each one. So we've had everything from traffic accidents, and it wasn't just one, right? So we've had lots of things that have gone awry. In addition to that, it is AETC's requirement to ensure that our airmen are provided logistics to and from. So it is our coordinated effort with LRS to ensure that everybody is here. We ran into issues with students when they're driving and things like that. The one-offs, I say one-offs, but it was quite a few of issues of people not having their mandatory items. When they return, they have to go do things. It gets into a headache because then we have to ensure wingmen are we're doing the right thing. So there's lots of variables that go in. But the bigger piece is every location is different. And you can't go in assuming, well, I did it this way at this. It doesn't work at the next base. So it is a different base. The rules are different.
But I still appreciate the question.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I also could carry my gun on Cannon Air Force Base, which I cannot carry here.
Correct.
Different base,
different rules,
commanders.
and that's it. So we have to be able to kind of work through that and be understanding and open to each one. There are reasons that drive each decision point toward commands.
Since we got a brand new wing commander, if you're proposing, do we want to ask? Do we want to drive? I don't think we're there. All you can do is say, I don't think we have there's not a problem, so I don't see requesting a change because I don't see a problem fixed. Policy allow AFI religion to hands in pocket and phone usage while walking. The Air Force policy about the hands in pocket will be, I don't see why there would be any different agency policy with it. I don't know about the phone usage while walking.
That one will be safety related, but we'll address the safety.
So
I appreciate the question, but also the info and the changes on that just came out today. So we will get a better answer on that for you.
And so, right, in all honesty, right, when it comes to phone usage while walking, all of that, right, a lot of those are addressing your, right, while in uniform and what's going on, what you do, which while you're walking as a student, you're marching. While you're in uniform during your duty day. So no, you will not be walking. You're not going to be marching and talking on a phone, right? So there are intricacies within AETC that we will have to address, and all that'll come out with the differences and changes. But we have to give it some time to kind of play out. So it'll be a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. And I don't want any more safety reports. I think DL covered the safety reports last week, and this is not even talking on the phone and walking. This is just doing the lifestyle. So I can imagine that's probably the worst.
I got you, McKinley. I know that Chief Gill was working that one also. There is a batch of X2s that are running into this issue due to their
City.
yes, due to the funding sites and things like that. So we're working it, and we're hoping right now the goal is to get you there on time. I know you graduate next week, so we're working.
Joseph expected able because also can't wear the new baseball caps and they were approved. So the new baseball caps is related directly to uniformity. That is not, the hands and pockets is not related to uniform. And then like Senior said, when you were walking, you were marching. So good try though, Whitney.
Yeah.
Later bus.
And Bankhead, RNLTD change, put in a change across a month and a half, haven't heard anything. And Star Medina is working. So I'll get with the MTLs on that one. I'll ask Star Medina where you're at and see kind of what's going on with it. And if we need to leverage, if he needs to leverage me, I will reach out and see if we can get it to go. The FSS has been going through a lot of things lately. So within our mission support group, they have had some pretty large things happen in life lately across that organization. And so they are working on some minimal manning through some tough times right now. And so, yes, we will continue to work with them and make sure you guys are taken care of. But I'm also doing it kind of with kid gloves to some extent right now.
Okay, I see some coming in about the buses and transportation to go to appointments and other things. All right, Cheyenne Dixon, are you tracking that there's a van now that you guys can use for that? I don't think we're going to get any more buses from LRS because of the usage. We have to show the usage of it, but there has been a van that the GLMs have secured to build your appointments and all things that are not
and your
related to
your mandatory military functions, right? So. I will say though, right, if you're talking about, right, the gym out at ASU and the gym here, right, if you're doing it to go to the gym, I would say, right, that's the reason we have gym access on ASU also.
Yeah.
So we have to be cognizant of what we're asking for and why, and make sure we're using our logistics appropriately.
Setting routes been out around twice. They have to wait for a class to start new date. I don't know who setting routes real name is, so it's Rouser. Yeah,
Okay.
Serious track, so it needs to do a report later than date. Good to go.
Yep. We will work that one.
Tracking on steer dates.
You got the name?
William Flippin, no assignment.
And you approach the MTLs about it. Awesome. How far out are you? No assignment. So how far are you out from graduation, William Flippin?
Thank you, RJ. ASU students study halls.
What?
So kind of solution for ASU students having access to study hall to discuss. So there's a problem.
What's the problem with the access to study hall? I guess would be mine.
Folder needs a new report later than date, which is NTLs.
They're trying to find a workaround study hall where they don't have to go back to ASU and then drive back here to go to study hall.
So they can just stay.
That's what they're asking.
How many are we talking? A lot.
I don't know how many, but
William Flippin is a month, nearly a month from graduation.
Oh, nearly a month away, plus or minus. Okay, so at a month away, thank you for bringing it up. Work with the MTLs, and we're going to continue to kind of track and monitor that.
Say thank you for putting that in again, Ethan Rose, because I didn't catch it the first time. Ethan P, part of the package is to have an assignment rip
Correct.
with a screenshot of the assignment information on VNP. Enough. So to get the rip, the other training requirements that they have to get knocked out first, they should have the rip right off the bat, right?
So they'll get the assignment rip first, saying where they're going, and then that will drive towards orders.
I don't know if screenshot of the assignment information. Why wouldn't we be able to get the rip?
the part from the initial assignment briefing that they get from virtual MPS should be enough.
Should be enough to get it.
Sweet. Ethan Rose, you hearing that?
So now with EFMP, right, it depends on what part you're talking about within your package, right? So that will drive the portion that you have to actually get online and do everything. So I guess, right, it's a wonderful, actually it's not. So I've been dealing with EFMP now for, oh goodness, over 15 years through multiple different assignments. So I have used the online assignment when I came here in February. It is a difficult piece to work through, but it is possible. So we just got to work with the FMP rep here on base, and we'll get it. But as far as what the screenshot would or would not work, get with the MTLs first, and let's see what it is that you're trying to upload and make sure that it meets the criteria, because they can reach out and we can have that conversation with them.
Okay.
Graduate tomorrow, still don't have my orders.
Cole Bishop.
Okay, I will call on that one in the morning, and we'll see what we can do for Cole Bishop.
Artemis is a good articulation. With the current bus schedule, if a student has PT in the morning, they are required to turn ASU at the 16:30 bus. 40% of ASU students find it prohibitive to leave and return. Almost half. You heard that before?
Maybe that was that.
Yeah. Okay.
Statistics are fun, right? I would love to see where that's coming from, but that is a good stab at it. So those numbers are based to ensure, just like when we were talking earlier, right, about the find your fire and what's going on and how people are going to have their rest time, their food time to eat, do what they need to do. We have to look at all of that. We have to do it on the mass to some extent. ASU students who don't have cars cannot return to study hall. So that would absolutely be one of those mandatory functions that we could leverage that van for. Right? There are other opportunities in working within your peers who do have vehicles to do that. If we ended up coordinating a bus, right, we would need numbers that actually substantiate keeping somebody there, because then we're paying a driver, we're paying, right, for all of these other logistics to ensure that we're doing that it's useful at that level. So I think it's definitely a conversation, it's something we can look at.
David Elias, did you know there was a van that's separate from the bus to bring you back to study hall? Are you tracking that? I'm pretty sure if there's multiple students who want to come, this is based on the poll I've taken. And I'm including a memorandum for record to present up the chain of command. That's how you do it. 4 other polls to the people that are regarding the bus issue. Artemis, that's how you do it. That's why you're an airman, not an army. Send it to me. The vans have been discontinued for our use. What's up with that? You know anything about that?
No, but I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay, we'll find out about that one. So I will get with the DOB flight chiefs and section chiefs tomorrow morning. I will absolutely have a fun discussion regarding what that is, because the intention from LRS with that van that we have worked out is ensuring, right, that we have it to use for the mandatory requirements of our airmen in between their bus. So that's what it is.
Hey, David Elias, will you tell me who told you it was for medical and emergencies only? Uncle Joseph said pushing for BTZ. If don't tell me it's a 315th MTL. Again.
It's quiet now.
Cricket.
Uh-oh. All right. Per GLMs. All right. All the GLMs. Perfect. I can have that conversation.
I don't want to be in the room for that conversation.
Oh, now it's the OTs from the GLMs. Okay. Uh-oh. We're going down the rabbit hole. Okay. I will get with. So I'm going to get with the. Oh, yeah, retracted. I like it. I like it. No, so I'm gonna start the conversation, not with the OTs, not with the GLMs. I'm gonna start it with their flight chief.
Okay.
Because I want our intent and your intent, sir, to be understood, right? And this is coming from the LRS in the conversations of how they're helping support us, and what that is there for and why it's been issued to us. So let me have a conversation with them, and then I'd love to hear next week, right, how things are going. And hopefully by that point, you will have heard something different from the OTs to the GLMs and through the flight leadership channels.
Not bad.
So let me address it. Give me a week, and let's see what you have to say next week. All right?
Fair. Okay. We'll dig into it. I would guess study hall is, to me, an appointment.
Sure. I got
You
it.
got it?
I got
Figured
it.
out when I put it
We're
down.
good.
Because they're Airman's Council, that is this strong good fellow. They wouldn't let me in it, but I know who to ask.
I think it's the Rising Four, is what it's called here. So it's the Rising Four. It's for senior airmen and below. They get together and come up with amazing ideas and help do that. They work with the 5-6 club here on base, which right, and then the top 3 help support each of those. So the joy is, it was in fact from a GL. Oh man, here we go. I'm gonna get a name here in a minute. Watch, it's slowly gonna come out.
I don't think you're going to get a name.
I don't know.
You're going to get a faceless.
I don't
They-
know, but I mean, there somebody will approach me. Realize, right? So
Kaiser Sose.
everybody here, right? I love the fact that we're able to have these conversations. In all honesty, right? So this is absolute direct feedback, unfiltered, from our airmen, direct to the command team.
Yeah.
But this isn't the only way, right? I get feedback through our end of course surveys. I get feedback through a variety of ways. There are also feedback forms all around. They're sitting in the back of the classrooms. They're sitting all over. We have yellow boxes all around that they can provide anonymous feedback. So maybe I'll find the name of a GLM in a yellow box. Say, hey, right, this was the answer to that. So we check those feedback boxes. They're anonymous unless you put your name on it. That's up to you. But they are in every single building that we are responsible for.
Yeah.
The dam was made available for study hall. Would still be mandatory to go back to ASU and then back to base. Right now, I would say yes, for an accountability purpose, right, and to ensure through AETC standards that we are ensuring you have the opportunity to get there, back to your room, go to your dining facility, go do what you need to do. If we just started saying, oh, well, people may or may not, it gets into a touchy situation. So, right, much like marching, right, we have to march from 3139 here and then back, and then you can go and do your thing for, right, your day. But we have start and stop points that we have to meet for the start and end of our day.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what was put out last week with Chief, right, on last week or week before regarding duty day times, right? So it basically starts and ends at your residence. when you leave for your duty day and kind of when you come back, following all of your appointments and things.
One day, it's going to be a train from ASU to Victor. That's how big San Andreas is going to be. Yeah, something easy.
If you've been in Hawaii the last several years, you'll realize what a tough thing that actually is. Okay, for use for medical emergencies when picking up airmen from base before the bus arrives. Back to base. Okay. What's the deal?
People in 31,
39, forced to return to your dorms from classes, you can't walk back to the study hall. So, I don't believe they're being forced to walk back, are they, at 1600? So, nope, that is a good catch, which is why we can absolutely have the conversation and see. But, right, at that point, they're still not off their duty time, so now they're having to find wingmen that they have to march back with later in the day. Those get fewer and further between. So, it's definitely something we can look at and talk about. Good point, though.
As an example, I was sent a sick call, given quarters, and contacted the GLM office, and was told I had to use the van. I was not to use the van. I had to use the base taxi. And the number for the taxi said to use the van. Like, who's on first?
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, man, we just got all these people in trouble.
All right.
Now we're gonna have to go dig all this stuff out.
So I'm going to start with the van question, and then I may have to end up contacting LRS to talk about the base taxi service. But we can see what we can do on that. You can just go straight to the study hall. I like it. Study hall is an awesome opportunity. Like I said, it's a good question. It's something we can look to discuss. Base taxi no longer in service.
Did anybody know the base taxi wasn't in service anymore?
It still exists.
But
It's still in service, but I can imagine because they have the van, they don't want to provide the service.
That's not what this says.
The Army's using it. I know that.
the base taxi is no longer in service. So RJ Bourne,
Like I said,
Born Identity, I'm going to get to the bottom of that. I hope that's a true statement that the base taxi is no longer in service. Sweet. All right, give about another minute for any more questions. Y'all gave us quite a bit of homework for this week. I think we'll start doing it the other way around.
well,
We'll see the homework. Did you like the second floor? Best floor, sir. Is it the second floor the best floor?
Definitely didn't portray me like the third floor did today.
The second floor is the best floor. Is that where we're going with
This week.
this week? Not for ASU. That fire. Second floor is indeed the best. Yeah.
wow.
This week.
Okay, well, I mean, whichever floor you're on, right? I know Sergeant Worthington kind of touched on it earlier, right? Right, you never know, right, when somebody's coming through. You never know when something's going to happen and somebody has to go into your space. Please make sure you're keeping things clean. Be responsible and professional and respectful of the facilities that are provided to you, right? It is one of those that, right, we are trying our best and we fight to get as much as we can for you guys. But it is one of those that when we walk in and we happen to have somebody in tow that is just kind of looking around, wanting to see kind of what our facilities are really like, when we walk into a room and it's not being taken care of appropriately, it makes it very difficult for us to say, well, it's because of the facility. No, that comes down on you as the airman not taking care of the facility, and then we have to go, well, but we still need all these things. It gets to be a very hard messaging piece for us The vast majority of you are doing amazing. However, right, we don't always get the opportunity to go, okay, and let's set up this room and that room and whatever, right? We all know that when you have visitors coming in, you clean, you do these things, you put on a show. That's not always what we're after. We want to see how people are living in their day-to-day, what's going on, right? That truly determines the health and welfare of our organization, to make sure that we're doing the right thing even when nobody's looking, right? That integrity piece is there. So we check those periodically. The vast majority of the time, right? Absolutely amazing. And then sometimes we have to have some alibis as to, right, this is the one-off. Problem is, if you only get to show 2 rooms, your one-off became 50%.
Good follow-up, RJ. They're functioning, but the message is put out that it would no longer coordinate with ASU because of the van.
Okay.
So if the base taxi is like, nope, we don't go to ASU anymore because you got your own van, let me dig into that. I don't know if that's the right answer as well, but that's something I can check on.
It's something we can definitely look at. Yeah. And it's a good point. I mean, but that is part of why we got the van also, right? Is to ensure that we have our own logistical ability to do some things.
Yeah.
So it's a negotiation to figure out what does right look like, how frequently are we using it, what are the times. There's a lot of variables that will go into that decision process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, good PT session this week with y'all. Good time. I appreciate that. Thanks for not killing me. 6:15 covered thing. Perfect time.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, from Chief Gill, right? Let us know if you have the issues orders. If you're a month out, make sure you have your orders and amendments. If you're 2 weeks out, make sure you're with the MTLs and let them know what's going on, because we need to get your orders. If you're a week out and about to graduate, go through your chain, make sure it is well known what's going on, that you have been doing this for the last month and where we're tracking, so that Chief and I can get on that one and hopefully get you out on time. That is our goal. But other than that, stay safe, and we'll chat again next week.
Yep.
And from Chief, don't jack it up.
Have a good training day tomorrow. Have a good weekend, Sharks. Bloods in the war. Cool. Thanks.